Hello, everybody! Flash Notion here, and it is time for the final reaction to Soul Eater. Yep, we're finally there. It's finally the last 3 episodes. Okay, I am actually recording. I got a bit of anxiety right there for a moment. All right, like if I failed to properly record this finale, God, I think I'd like the amount of depression that would bring on would be just insane. Um, right. So where were we? Uh, Asura, Asura escaped and killed Arachne, took her soul. Um, he might have, he might have perma killed Death. Um, it's a little unclear, but that seems to be the implication. Um, Death City has been made mobile and is currently, in a crater right next to the castle there. Like there's a lot of crazy shit that happened in the last couple episodes. Um, but basically all of our big players are in one spot. So I'm expecting an absolutely just massive showdown against the Kishin for our finale here. And honestly, I'm not really sure, like, structure-wise, how this finale is going to work out. We have 3 episodes, and realistically, I feel like you need at least half an episode's worth of, like, not exposition, what is it called? Epilogue, where we see all of the characters and where they end up. I'm also expecting Excalibur to play a role in all of this beyond just observing. Um, but I'm not sure what that role might be. Maybe he'll, like, explain the Kishin's weakness or something. It would also be cool if we got to see Maka's mother, rather, before the end of all of this. I was going to say parents, but obviously we've seen Spirit quite a bit. Wow, that's loud. A flash forward is also possible, like where we see the cast as adults, but that I don't necessarily expect that. I'm just saying it would be cool. Um, aside from that, aside from all that, I'm not really sure. Uh, okay. I also forgot. Blackstar, Tsubaki are helping Mifune and the little witch girl, who I am at this moment somewhat convinced might be Erika's daughter, to escape from Arachne's castle. So that's where all of our major characters are at, I believe. Um, which means it's perfectly positioned for the final battle. Okay. Uh, yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. So let us get ready to begin. We'll switch over in here, and then we will count it down. Starting the final set of episodes for Soul Eater in 3, 2, 1, play. Hi. I, I don't know how to start this. So I was going to sit down and like make a list of notes and whatnot, um, and like really try and talk about the series in an orderly manner, but like, A, I don't really want to do that, but B, I feel like I feel like everything that I could possibly say is basically gonna sound like a complaint. Um, so like here's the thing. I really enjoyed this series. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the ending was goofy as hell, and not in a good way, but it was fun. And that's that's how I want the series and like this group of reactions. I want to end on that note. So like I'm probably going to restate that a dozen times here as I ramble through all of this, but like no, I did enjoy watching this series and I'm glad that I did. And frankly, if I find other reactions to this series on YouTube, I'm going to be very, very happy because I really do like it. I like the world that it created. I like the characters that it tried to introduce and like do stuff with. But, and it's a very big but in this case, I if I were going to describe this series and my experience with it in one word, that word would be overhyped. Now, frankly, I don't know if this is actually a good review of the series because I went into this series expecting a lot. Like, Soul Eater isn't one of like the big anime, but I heard a lot of good things about it. I heard that it was just a good series in general, that it was a good shonen series, that it was really funny, which it was, but like not consistently. Um, and so I come away from the series as a whole feeling somewhat disappointed because I was sold this series as basically an above average, if not top tier anime, and it comes across as more of a mediocre, fun if you don't take it seriously anime. Like, this is not a My Hero Academia style story. This is not One Piece or even Dragon Ball, right? Like, this is like I'm having trouble trying to think of something to compare it to because a lot of the stuff that I've watched has been really, really good. Um, Even if I didn't necessarily appreciate it that way at the time. Uh, so yeah, like it's not as bad as like the human parts of the Spider Isekai anime. Um, but like I've watched a lot of anime and like especially Isekai anime with my friend that are in that mediocre, middling sort of tier, and that's honestly where I feel Soul Eater belongs, which is frustrating because I really do like it, and I really do think it had the potential, what with its world, its characters, everything, it had the potential to be one of the just absolute greats of all time. And there are a lot of reasons why I feel like it failed. Some of which, you might be able to correct in like an abridged series type situation where you can re-edit the clips together in a different order, some pacing issues and whatnot. Those you can fix. Even some tonal stuff you can fix by re-editing it and giving new dialogue and whatnot. So like a lot of times when like the humor of the show would sometimes detract from the situation because it just contrasts so much with what's actually going on screen. Times like that, by just changing the dialogue, making the transition less abrupt or whatever, you can actually make that work better. But then there's stuff that really can't be fixed. And I think the biggest thing for me right now is that, like, frankly, this series had so many characters and so many arcs introduced that just went fucking nowhere. Like, when we come right down to it, what was necessary for this story to take place? For us to get to the ending where we have Kid and Blackstar and Maka fight the Kishin, what was necessary? There was so much that wasn't necessary. Arachnophobia in its entirety was largely unnecessary. Medusa and her faction after the first arc where the Kishin got released, unnecessary. Krona, as a character, wound up being completely unnecessary because he did not participate in the final battle at all. And after Medusa's defeat, like 5 episodes ago, Krona didn't factor into the story at all. Which is a shame, because I really like Krona. Krona is one of my favorite characters from this series. And like Stein's subplot of falling into madness had no impact on the larger story. It wasn't like he betrayed the DWMA to the Kishin and Arachnophobia and all them. He didn't do any of that. His subplot didn't factor into the overarching plot of the series at all. And it wasn't like him returning and being able to coach Maka helped her to overcome any of this at all. And like, you can go through the series character by character, situation by situation, subplot by subplot, and you will find so many things that just don't matter. They could be cut or trimmed down at the very least, and you wouldn't be missing anything. Not really. Frankly, it's insulting to the characters to have that happen. And I don't know if that's a leftover from the manga, or if it is stuff that was lost in adaptation, or what the hell happened. But so so much of this series was nothing. Was bullshit. Is what it feels like, frankly. Like, I may be forgetting stuff. I mean, there was vast amounts of time between recordings for some of this, and then I just kind of binged right through it here at the end. So maybe there's some stuff that's lost on me, but I just like what was the point of Kiriko? What did he do? What was the point of at least half of the other death sites? They didn't do shit. What was the point of fucking Excalibur? All the time that we spent on Excalibur, all of his episodes, the stories, the utter bullshit. What did he end up doing? Nothing. He did nothing. And if that was the joke, and that joke was communicated well, I wouldn't mind. But it felt like they were hyping him up, like they were building to something important with him, and then they did nothing. And that's just my feeling with this series as a whole. Like, that's why there were so many long gaps between recordings, is because every time I start to care about something with this series, it does something else that just makes me not give a shit. It's the vast amounts of inconsistency with the characters and the plot and the writing and the direction and the tone that just wind up making this not work as a whole. Every individual episode is fairly entertaining. Some are a bit boring, but they're all fairly entertaining. It's just that, taken as a whole, the series does not work. And I can't quite think of anything that I have encountered that does the same thing. Like on the opposite end of that, you have, what I'm going to be going back to Star Versus after this, and Star Versus has some serious stinkers of episodes, just terrible episodes. And yet, the series as a whole is awesome. I love it. I love the series, I love the characters, I love the directions that they go in, and, I might not enjoy every single episode the same. There are some that I would never want to rewatch, and then there are some that I absolutely adore. So it has that level of inconsistency to it, but the series as a whole remains entertaining and great. So it's kind of like the exact opposite of this. Is what it feels like right now. And it's this series isn't alone, or it's not alone in that. Like, a lot of other series that I've watched have also had some fairly bad episodes that don't detract from my overall enjoyment of the series. Even My Hero, My Hero, Ruby, okay, Ruby's a bad example, actually. There aren't that many, terrible episodes of Ruby past, season 1. Well, volume 1, I should say. But, just about every other series that I have watched has had its lesser episodes that aren't as good, aren't as entertaining, but they don't detract from the series as a whole. And again, it really feels like Soul Eater has the opposite problem, where every episode is entertaining in its own right, but when put together as a whole, they just don't work. And I can't point to anything other than inconsistency with that. Like I don't think anything quite sums it up better than that final fight against the Kishi. Because I have, like, going into that fight, I have no idea how strong any of those characters are. Like, Kid just pulled that mega cannon out of his ass, it seemed like. And it seemed like he was going to use up his life force and die to make that happen. And that would have been epic as a, like, self-sacrifice thing. But no, he's fine afterwards, and, like, it just came out of fucking nowhere. There was no hint to it. Like, I guess you can kind of say, like, that's his equivalent of the Genie Hunter technique, but no, no, it's not. And then, like, we spend, well, an episode and a half, basically, with the Kishin being virtually untouchable, it seems like, just shrugging off their attacks. And then all of a sudden, Black Star is just kicking its ass all over the place with no evident power up or anything. He's just doing it. And then all of a sudden, the Kishin is apparently reduced to an even weaker form. And then Asura just, he off screen defeats Black Star. Like, there's no consistency to it. And then we got Maka fighting him and seemingly doing fine, only to then just get knocked down for no rhyme or reason. Just so that the show can apparently try and shove in a theme of, like, bravery and madness and fear and, like, all kinds of other bullshit. And it's just like, I don't understand what they were going for at all. Like, maybe this is one of those things where, like, I'll understand it after I look at the TV tropes pages and see everybody else's, like, thoughts and whatnot on the series. And there's just, like, this whole hidden lesson thing that I just completely missed watching it that ties everything together nicely. But I don't see it right now. It just feels like random, inconsistent bullshit. And not even in the fun way where, like, Dragon Ball characters will pull new transformations out of their ass and whatnot. But, like, usually when they do that, there's been some training, or, you know, a friend of theirs got hurt, or something. Something happens that can, in some way, shape, or form, justify that transformation. And the transformation is usually effective. You know, and there's just, in general, consistency with the way that transformations are treated and the way that the power scaling in universe works. Even if, you know, the actual power levels are bullshit, that doesn't change which character is stronger than which. It just means that the numbers themselves don't factor into the outcome so much as, like, they guide the fight or whatever, right? Like Raditz. Okay, if we go back to the very first fight of Dragon Ball Z, right? Goku and Piccolo are both weaker than Raditz. Even combined, their strength really cannot fully rival his. They have to use trickery and teamwork in order to beat Raditz. But that doesn't change the fact that individually, one-on-one, Raditz was stronger than both of them and could beat them. Alright? And that same sense of, like, yeah, power levels are bullshit, but they still determine which character is, you know, physically stronger and inform how much danger a character is in. Like, that never really changes. So, in this show, in Soul Eater, I have no idea who's stronger. You know, Asura was saying, "Oh yeah, Black Star and Kid were stronger than you, Maka," but like, I, I don't know that. There's no consistency with these characters. There's no real indication of who's stronger. And honestly, a lot of that comes down to the whole show versus tell thing, where like there's a lot of telling that happens in this series. A lot of people saying what's going on rather than it being shown to us properly. A lot of exposition without substance. I'm getting a crick in my neck. Stress and like emotions. So like I feel like I've lost track of the point at somewhere along in this rant. But like my general point is that like the series is enjoyable. I really like it. And I'm gonna keep coming back to it in concept a lot. And like it's gonna live in my head up alongside some of the other great series that I've watched. But there will always be this underlying, this underlying idea of like, I feel like it could have been better. And I feel like it should have been better. Because there were plenty of opportunities for it to be better. So, yeah. Oh. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to criticize anymore. I'm spent on criticism here. Um, I mean, if nothing else, I can give praise to the series for its overall creativity. People turning into weapons and eating like I mean I know the series is called Soul Eater, but like it being literal is kind of fun, and just like all the internal mental spiritual struggles, like I feel like if the series had really focused in on that aspect of it, then it really would have been great as a different sort of shonen. Where a lot of other shonen anime are all about physical battles, making this one more about mental and spiritual battles. That would have been a great way of differentiating it and making those themes really work. But they didn't quite nail that. But yeah, the creativity in general is just amazing. And I really got to give props to the visuals. I don't know how much they were borrowed from the manga or whatever, but there's never been like, obviously they took some shortcuts at points, stock animation, parts where they used a more simplistic style for comedy, but no matter what, it always looked good. This is a series that definitely comes from the era before like excessive CGI and whatnot was used in anime. Like aside from maybe the weapons when they are going into their crazy modes, I don't think there was any CGI in the main series besides that. I mean, like, some textures maybe were applied using computers, and like obviously in the outro the Kishin super form in in the last outro was definitely CGI, but for the most part, the series was hand drawn. It seems, and it showed. Like, it looked amazing. I love the way that the series looks. Um, so I got to give it praise for that as well. And you know, frankly, though, I mean, again, I don't want to criticize too much. I don't want to end this on a bad note, but yeah, I'd gladly sacrifice visuals and even a little bit of general creativity for good, consistent, strong writing. Like like a lot of people complain about One Punch Man season 2, and I do as well. But the reason that I complain has nothing to do with like the visuals of it, which is where a lot of people complain about. I complain about One Punch Man season 2 because I feel like the writing was weaker than One Punch Man season 1. And oh, yeah, One Punch Man got his third season announced like yesterday, I think. I'm eager to watch it. Um, but anyway, this series. Yeah, I guess I better just wrap it up here. So the negatives, it's tonally, it's inconsistent in just about every manner, aside from the fact that it is consistently creative and visually stunning. Everything else is kinda iffy, and that's not great. But it's still a very fun, very entertaining series that I look forward to hopefully someday finding other reactions to on YouTube. Um, so there we go. That's the end of Soul Eater. And it has taken way too long to get through this series. Especially, just considering things in general. But we're finally done with it. And, for those of you who care about what's going on next with the channel, I'm going to be finishing up Star versus the Forces of Evil next. And then Harley Quinn Season 3 has come out, so I'm going to be watching that next. And then after that, it'll be something new, I believe. I have to look into the My Hero movie, because I'm not sure if that's out yet or if it'll be out like within the next week or so. But that's going to be coming out at some point. Probably, like, if it's not out now, then it will be coming out between the Star Versus and start of Harley Quinn Season 3. But if it's out already, then it'll be the next video. But, it all depends. Either way, that's it. That's Soul Eater Season 3. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all enjoyed the, overly long and, inconsistent in terms of releases ride. But, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And hope you'll stick around on the channel. Hope you'll check out some of my other stuff. And I'll see you guys later. All right? Bye-bye.